world of crime, there are cases that, despite the passage of time, remain unsolved. Mysterious files, fins clos, and people left in doubt. These cases, known as cold cases, continue to baffle investigators, challenge human intellect, and lead us on an endless quest for truth. Let us explore famous unresolved cases, mysteries that have stirred communities, and questions that remain unanswered. The mystery of the Somerton Man, unsolved, a message from beyond the grave. Our story begins on an evening in late November 1948. The Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia, lay quiet under the fading twilight. Gentle waves lapped at the shore, creating a serene yet ominous scene. A man sat leaning against the seawall. His legs were stretched out, his feet neatly crossed as if resting. He wore a tidy suit, with polished shoes, a stark contrast to the relaxed atmosphere of the beach. Passers-by noticed something strange about him. A couple recalled that he raised his hand as if to light a cigarette. Another person saw mosquitoes buzzing around his face, but he didn't swat them away. Everyone assumed he was drunk. In reality, he was dying, spending his final moments in a life shrouded in mystery. The following morning, as sunlight illuminated the beach, a couple strolling along discovered the man's lifeless body. He lay motionless, his face calm, as though he were merely sleeping. The investigation begins. The police arrived at the scene quickly. The man appeared to be in his 40s or 50s, clean-shaven and in good health. However, he had no wallet, no identification, and, more puzzlingly, all the labels on his clothing had been meticulously removed in his jacket pocket. Police found a bus ticket, an unused train ticket, a pack of Army Club cigarettes containing cigarettes of another brand, a pack of juicy fruit gum, a handkerchief, and an American metal comb. These ordinary items offered no clues about his identity. Someone had deliberately erased all traces of him. At the hospital, the autopsy results only deepened the mystery. His stomach contained blood, a sign he might have ingested poison. Yet, tests found no trace of any toxin. Doctors speculated that he could have used digitalis or strepanthin, rare poisons that can kill without leaving traces. The man's legs were muscular, like an athlete's, and his toes were deformed as though he had worn tight shoes. Some speculated he might have been a dancer or professional athlete. But how could someone like that die mysteriously without anyone recognizing him? A strange clue. Unsolved. The story took a bizarre turn months later. During a search of the man's belongings, police discovered a secret pocket sewn into his waistband. Inside, they found a small folded piece of paper with two words, unsolved, Persian for it is finished. The police quickly determined that the paper had been torn from a book of poetry, the Rubaiyat by Omar Khayyam, an ancient work filled with profound reflections on life and death. Not long after, the original book was found in the car of a stranger near the beach. Inside, handwritten lines of text resembling a cipher were discovered. The police believed this could be the key to unraveling the mystery, but all attempts to decode it failed. The story of the Somerton Man sparked numerous theories. Cold War spy. Some believed he was a Cold War spy, poisoned after completing a covert mission. The cipher in the book could be an encoded message related to his work. Betrayed lover. Others suggested he was a man betrayed in love, who came to Somerton Beach to meet the woman he loved, but was rejected and chose to end his life in silence. Coincidentally, a local woman named Jo Thompson owned a copy of the Rubaiyat, but refused to answer any questions related to the case. Criminal or victim? Another theory proposed he was a victim of a crime syndicate or had willingly participated in a plan that led to his death. A breakthrough with modern technology. After more than 70 years, a new ray of hope emerged. A DNA researcher analyzed a sample of the Somerton Man's hair. The results revealed that he had Eastern European ancestry and might have been part of an undocumented immigrant family. This discovery opened up new possibilities. Was he a foreign spy, or simply a man lost in the chaos of life? The Tamam should note, it is finished, might have been the farewell of a man disillusioned with life. Yet, 70 years later, his case remains one of history's greatest mysteries, leading many to believe that this was not just an ending, but the beginning of an endless series of questions. Will the Somerton man's identity ever be discovered? Can modern technology solve this enigma? Or will he remain a mystery, a voiceless story, a secret forever at rest beneath the sunlight of Somerton Beach? Tamam Shud, is everything truly finished? Or has the mystery only just begun? The mysterious story of the boy in the box, after 65 years. The truth is finally revealed. In February 1957, an event shook the city of Philadelphia and posed a lingering question that would remain unanswered for over 6 decades. A 4-year-old boy, beaten to death and abandoned in an old JCPenney box amidst the bushes, was left without any identification or clear trace of who he was. The story of the boy in the box became one of the most infamous and puzzling murder cases in Philadelphia's police history. On February 23, 1957, a young student from La Salle College was wandering near an area known to be frequented by troubled youths when he stumbled upon a discarded box by the roadside. Initially believing it contained a doll, curiosity drove him back to the spot days later, where he uncovered the grim reality: the lifeless body of a naked little boy inside the box. This box, identified as an old container once used to hold a bassinet, became a symbol of the boy's tragic death. His body was not only abandoned under cruel circumstances, but bore signs of a life filled with suffering. The boy was thin, malnourished, and showed bruises and wounds, clear evidence of abuse before his death. Investigators immediately determined that this was not a natural death, but a heinous act of murder. Initial challenges. The police at the scene worked tirelessly to identify the boy, but all they had were faint clues. Forensic experts estimated the boy was between 4 and 6 years old, with reddish-brown hair that had been crudely cut. This led many to believe the killer might have tried to conceal the victim's identity. There were also indications that the boy had endured a difficult life. Surgical scars on his ankle, foot, and groin hinted at possible surgeries, perhaps conducted unofficially or without proper medical oversight. Despite these leads, the boy's identity remained a mystery. The police distributed millions of flyers, reconstructed his face, and pursued every possible lead. But all efforts were in vain. Investigators explored thousands of theories, some of them quite unusual. One theory suggested the boy might have been a kidnapping victim from Hungary, while another speculated he could be linked to a family working at a local carnival. None of these theories produced any results. New theories and expanded investigation. In the years that followed, investigators pursued increasingly bizarre theories. One notable theory emerged in 1960 when Remington Bristow, an employee of the medical examiner's office, consulted a psychic for help. The psychic directed Bristow to a foster home where he discovered a bassinet similar to the one associated with the boy. The police suspected the boy might have been the child of the foster home owner's unmarried daughter. However, despite thorough investigations, this lead also went cold. In 2002, a woman referred to as M contacted the police, claiming that the boy had been purchased by her mother from another family in 1954. M stated that the boy's name was Jonathan and that her mother had physically and sexually abused him. She alleged that one night, after the boy vomited baked beans, her mother beat him to death in a fit of rage. M's story seemed credible because investigators found baked beans in the boy's stomach and noted that his body had been washed post-mortem, which explained his wrinkled fingers. However, there was insufficient evidence to substantiate her claims. The final breakthrough, solving the mystery with DNA. Everything changed in December 2022 when investigators in Philadelphia announced a major breakthrough. After over 65 years of mystery, the identity of the boy in the box was finally uncovered. Using advanced DNA testing and genetic genealogy, detectives determined that the boy was Joseph Augustus Sorelli, born on January 13, 1953. The police used the boy's DNA to trace familial connections. eventually identifying relatives on his mother's side. They examined birth records to pinpoint the name of the boy's father. Unfortunately, details about his family remain confidential to protect the privacy of Zarelli's surviving siblings. However, it was confirmed that Joseph was just 4 years old at the time of his death, and the circumstances surrounding his murder remain one of the most significant unsolved mysteries. A new chapter in the case. The case of the boy in the box is not just about identifying an innocent child, but also about confronting an enduring tragedy. The police have yet to determine the killer. Though there are suspicions, the investigation remains ongoing, and there may be further breakthroughs in the future. This is still an active homicide investigation, and we still need the public's help to piece together this child's story. Philadelphia Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw said at a press conference, "This announcement closes one chapter in this boy's story while opening a new one. The story of Joseph Augustus Zarelli, an innocent child abandoned and cruelly stripped of his life, will never be forgotten. After 65 years, the boy has finally been given a name, but the truth behind his death and those involved remains an unsolved mystery." Inside the decades-long mystery of the Istel woman. The case of the Istel woman, which occurred on November 29, 1970, remains one of the greatest mysteries in Norwegian history, leaving investigators grappling for decades to piece together the missing fragments. Over 50 years have passed since her body was discovered in Isdalen Valley, yet her identity and the cause of her death have never been confirmed. Strange clues, mysterious events, and dubious theories continue to raise unanswered questions. The horrifying scene in Istel Valley. On that day, 2 young girls accompanied by their father were hiking in Isdalen Valley, located a few miles from the city of Bergen. As they passed through a remote forested area, they stumbled upon a terrifying sight. A woman's body lay on the ground, burned beyond recognition. Overwhelmed with fear, the 3 quickly returned to report the discovery to the police. However, when authorities arrived at the scene, they could only gather scattered fragments, charred pieces of fabric, a few personal items, and some peculiar traces. Identifying the woman or determining the cause of her death immediately proved impossible. The initial investigation and suspicious findings. When investigators arrived at the scene, they immediately noted several strange details. First, the body was positioned in a peculiar manner, resembling a boxer or fighter stance, with her arms extended. It appeared she may have been burned alive in a deliberate act. Some speculated that she might have fallen into a fire and tried unsuccessfully to escape. Others believed her death could have been a premeditated murder. The objects found near the woman's body did little to aid identification. Items included burnt fabric pieces, an umbrella, a plastic passport cover, and a few other personal effects. None bore labels or any distinguishing features that could help identify the woman. Even the clothing tags had been meticulously removed, adding to suspicions about the true circumstances of her death. Most notably, the arrangement of the items around the body puzzled investigators. Her watch and jewelry were not worn, but neatly placed beside her. This arrangement seemed intentional, potentially part of some ritual, deepening the mystery. Witnesses described the woman as having long, light brown hair, standing approximately 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters tall, and appearing to be between 25 and 40 years old. However, the sparse details were too vague to provide any solid leads on her identity. 2 suitcases and strange belongings. A few days after the discovery of the Istel woman's body, another strange find emerged at Bergen railway station. Police found 2 suitcases, one of which contained items linked to the woman. These included prescription glasses, clothing, cosmetics, eczema cream, and currency from several countries, including Germany, Norway, Belgium, the UK, and Sweden. However, once again, all labels had been removed from these items, leaving no trace of their origin or their owner. One intriguing item in the suitcase was a pair of prescription glasses bearing a fingerprint matching that of the Istel woman. Despite this match, investigators could not determine who she was. They also found a note containing mysterious codes that, when deciphered, appeared to correspond to the hotels the woman had stayed in before her death. She had registered at these hotels under various aliases, including Fenella Lorch, Genevieve Lancier, Claudia Tielt, Claudia Nielsen, and Alexia Zarn-Merches. Connections to espionage and spy theories. The woman's death occurred during the Cold War, a period marked by intense international espionage activity. Some theories suggest she may have been a spy involved in global intelligence operations, possibly linked to Norway's weapons and missile testing. Her peculiar behavior, such as frequently changing identities and moving from one hotel to another, added weight to this suspicion. Some even speculated she might have worked for a foreign intelligence agency and that her death was a calculated assassination. Reopening the case after 46 years. The case was officially closed in 1971, with authorities concluding that the Istil woman may have committed suicide. This was based on the discovery of 50 to 70 sleeping pills in her system, partially undigested, along with smoke in her lungs, indicating she was alive when burned. However, few believe this suicide theory. Investigators and those fascinated by the case found it hard to accept, and in 2016, the case was reopened, utilizing advances in forensic technology and DNA analysis to uncover new leads. When the case was reopened, scientists created a full DNA profile of the woman, determining that she was of European descent. They collaborated with police forces across Europe to search for a match. However, to date, no matches have been found in DNA databases, leaving the Istil woman's identity a mystery. The case of the Istil woman remains an enigma with no resolution to this day. Theories about her range from being a spy to the victim of a concealed murder, continuing to captivate public curiosity, despite advancements in technology and relentless efforts from investigators. Her identity remains unknown. All that is known is that she was of European descent, linked to multiple aliases and hotels in Norway, and that her death occurred in the Cold War context, surrounded by strange and inexplicable clues. This case, with its enduring mystery and unanswered questions, may forever remain one of the most bizarre and unsolvable mysteries in the history of criminal investigation. The story of Asha Degree. The 9-year-old girl who mysteriously disappeared in 2000 Asha Degree's disappearance has become one of the most infamous and haunting cases in the history of investigations in North Carolina. The 9-year-old girl vanished mysteriously in the early hours of Valentine's Day in 2000. Her disappearance has left the police, the FBI, and her family puzzled for decades, with no clear answers to her fate to this day. A strange night and a sudden disappearance. On February 14th, 2000, Asha Degree, a 4th grade student, lived with her family in Shelby, North Carolina. Asha had a peaceful life, rarely venturing far from home, and was diligent in her studies. That night, Asha and her brother O'Brien went to bed at 8 p.m. The Degree family lived in a quiet area, and nothing unusual occurred that evening, making the tragedy that would unfold the following morning unimaginable around midnight. A car accident nearby caused a power outage in the neighborhood. Harold Degree, Asha's father, thought nothing was amiss, but out of habit, he decided to check on his children at around 2:30 a.m. When he entered Asha's room, he saw her sound asleep with no signs of anything unusual. Believing everything was fine, he returned to bed. However, the next morning, when Asha's mother, Aquila Degree, went to wake up her children for school, she discovered that Asha was no longer in her room. All the windows and doors were intact, showing no signs of being opened or tampered with. But Asha's backpack, along with books and a t-shirt, was gone. These clues immediately led the police to suspect that Asha had left the house willingly rather than being abducted. Strange clues. When the incident was reported, police began their investigation. One of the first leads they received came from 2 motorists who reported seeing a young girl walking along the shoulder of North Carolina Highway 18 around 4 a.m. One of them tried to stop and approach her, but she ran into a nearby wooded area and disappeared. That was the last confirmed sighting of Asha. Although she was only 9 years old, her actions, leaving home at night and running into the woods, made her disappearance extraordinarily puzzling soon after. Police conducted a thorough search of the surrounding area, but found no clues that could explain what had happened. Strangely, there were no signs of forced entry or violence. Asha had left without leaving any evidence of coercion, making the case all the more baffling. Search efforts and theories. Local police launched an extensive search during the first week after Asha disappeared. They scoured a large area of 2 to 3 miles, but uncovered no useful clues. Search teams used tracking dogs and combed the surrounding areas, but the dogs failed to pick up her scent. Subsequent search efforts also yielded no results, prompting the FBI and the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation to join the case while everyone hoped Asha would be found quickly. Months passed with no progress. The Degree family hoped their appearances on popular TV shows like The Montel Williams Show and The Oprah Winfrey Show would draw public attention and valuable tips. They continued to pray and believe that Asha was still alive a year and a half after Asha's disappearance. A significant clue was discovered. On August 3rd, 2001, construction workers digging to build a new road in Burke County found Asha's backpack. The backpack contained familiar items, including a New Kids on the Block t-shirt and McElligot's Pool by Dr. Seuss, a book Asha had borrowed from her school library. However, despite this discovery being a major breakthrough, it led to no new information about Asha's whereabouts. Theories about the disappearance. Many theories surround Asha's disappearance. Some believe she may have been abducted by a stranger, but there was no clear evidence of her being kidnapped. Others speculate that Asha might have left home voluntarily, but her reasons for doing so remain unclear. Another theory suggests she might have been lured away by someone she knew, but none of these theories fully explain her disappearance on such an ordinary day a year after the backpack was found. In 2004, an inmate claimed to know where Asha had been killed and buried. Investigators visited the site he described, but only found animal remains. Police continued to follow leads like this in the following years, but most turn out to be dead ends. The family's relentless efforts. Despite the lack of progress in the investigation, the Degree family has never given up hope. They continue to hold an annual walk from their home to the billboard about Asha's disappearance, hoping to keep her case in the public's mind. They also established a scholarship in Asha's name to honor her memory and spread awareness about her disappearance. Aquila Degree, Asha's mother, expressed her feelings in an interview. "This is worse than death because at least with death, you have closure. You can go to a grave or keep ashes at home. But for us, we can't give up. We can't grieve. The only thing we have is hope." An unsolved case. In 2015, a new lead emerged when someone reported seeing a young girl entering a green Ford Thunderbird or Lincoln Mark for the night Asha disappeared. The FBI reopened the investigation, releasing detailed information in 2016 and publishing photos of items from Asha's backpack in 2018. These updates drew public attention again, but no concrete results followed in 2020. Another inmate contacted the police, claiming he had heard someone confess to killing and burying Asha. Investigators interviewed both the inmate and the alleged confessor, but no new information came to light. Hope persists, although more than 2 decades have passed since Asha's disappearance. Investigators have not given up. The FBI, local police, and the State Bureau of Investigation continue to work with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to search for her. Digitally aged photos of Asha, showing what she might look like at age 30, have been released to help people identify her if they see her. Currently, the FBI offers a $25,000 reward for information leading to Asha's whereabouts, while the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office offers an additional $20,000. Despite the years that have gone by, the Degree family remains steadfast in their belief that Asha is alive and hopeful that one day the truth will be revealed. If she walked through the door right now, I wouldn't care what we've lost. All I want is to see her. Aquila Degree shared, her heart full of hope. The true story of the Dyatlov Pass mystery and its chilling potential explanation. In 1959, a group of 9 Soviet hikers mysteriously disappeared while on an expedition through the Ural Mountains. Their deaths later became known as the Dyatlov Pass incident, one of the strangest and most debated cases not just in their country, but around the world. Dozens of theories have been proposed to explain what truly happened to this group. But to this day, the case remains unsolved. However, a new scientific study published in 2021 has offered a compelling perspective on what might have occurred. The Dyatlov Pass incident, a mystery spanning over half a century. The story began in January 1959, when a group of young students and ski enthusiasts from the Ural Polytechnic Institute embarked on a 190-mile expedition through the Ural Mountains, aiming to reach the village of Izhey. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a talented fifth-year student with extensive outdoor experience. Accompanying him were 8 others, including 7 men and 2 women, all avid mountain climbers and adventure seekers. The trip was expected to last 16 days, and the group planned to contact family, friends, and authorities via telegram upon its conclusion. However, that communication never came. When no news was received after several days, a rescue team was dispatched on February 20th, 1959. After 6 grueling days of searching, the rescuers found the hikers' tent. The tent had been cut open from the inside, as if the group had fled in a state of panic. The first 2 bodies discovered were those of Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonischenko. They were found nearly naked, about a mile away from the tent. Over the next few days, 3 more bodies, including Igor Dyatlov's, were found nearby. The remaining 4 bodies were not discovered until spring, when the snow began to melt. Autopsies raised more questions than they answered. Several victims suffered severe fractures, particularly to their chests, with injuries comparable to those caused by a car crash. One female victim, Ludmila Dubinina, was found missing her tongue, eyes, part of her lips, and some facial tissue. Part of her skull was also missing, adding to the growing sense of bewilderment. The fact that the bodies were discovered without adequate clothing or protective gear only deepened the mystery. Initially, the case was attributed to a compelling natural force. However, this explanation failed to satisfy public curiosity. The Soviet government kept details of the case under wraps for years. By the 1970s, conspiracy theories began to flourish, ranging from alien encounters to secret weapons testing. Reopening the investigation in 2019. Could there be an answer? After more than 50 years, in 2019, the Russian government reopened the investigation as the victims' families and the public continued to demand answers about the hikers' deaths. Russian prosecutors announced that the new investigation would focus solely on 3 main theories, all involving natural phenomena, including an avalanche, falling snow, or a storm, according to Alexander Kareno, a representative of the Russian Prosecutor General's office. There was no evidence to suggest criminal activity, ruling out theories involving aliens or other supernatural causes. Despite these efforts, skepticism remained about whether authorities were genuinely seeking the truth. Particularly, many case files were not made fully public, and some evidence remained unexamined. However, an investigation led by a team of experts began to propose more scientifically plausible explanations. The avalanche theory, unraveling the mystery. In 2021, Swiss scientists published a groundbreaking study in the journal Communications Earth and Environment, providing a scientific basis for the avalanche theory. The study carefully analyzed weather conditions and terrain reports from the site and used simulations to demonstrate how an avalanche could have occurred where the hikers had set up camp. According to this new theory, strong winds may have caused snow to accumulate on the slope above the hikers' campsite. When a significant amount of snow suddenly collapsed, it created a powerful avalanche that buried the group and caused severe injuries. However, these injuries were not immediately fatal, leading the panicked hikers to flee their tent in sub-zero conditions without adequate clothing or supplies. Researchers hypothesize that after being buried in snow, the group succumbed to extreme cold while attempting to escape, ultimately leading to hypothermia. The severe injuries found on some of the victims were attributed to the impact of heavy snow blocks, which can cause trauma similar to a car crash. As for the missing tongue and other body parts, one plausible explanation is that scavenging animals might have consumed these tissues after the hikers' deaths. Given the remote and desolate environment, unanswered questions remain. While the avalanche theory is bolstered by scientific evidence and simulations, some questions remain unresolved. For instance, why did the group abandon all their valuable gear and run out into the freezing cold without proper clothing or shoes? Details like these continue to fuel speculation and debate. Although the avalanche theory seems to be the most reasonable explanation for what happened, the Dyatlov Pass case remains far from closed. The combination of bizarre injuries and harsh weather conditions ensures that this incident will remain one of the greatest mysteries of modern history and a captivating topic for those who enjoy puzzling and enigmatic stories. A hope for answers. Although cases like these often lack definitive conclusions, we must never forget that each investigation carries a glimmer of hope. Hope that one day, these mysteries will be illuminated and justice will be served. New clues, advanced technology, and persistence may eventually provide the answers we seek. What do you think about this case? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Or if you'd like to hear about more cases, let me know. Please give a like and follow to motivate me to create more videos. Thank you. And love to all of you.